Being a model railway enthusiast, you know how much time and money you've spent in developing your miniature transportation system, but have you taken steps to keep all your assets safe? Like most of us, probably not. Unfortunately, asset security does not get discussed enough within the model railroad community. In this video, we'll explore some options how we're going to protect your model railroad assets by using some inexpensive components, incorporating them into a piece of software called Home Assistant. We'll achieve some peace of mind by developing a security alarm system. Let's talk about it. So what is Home Assistant? It's a free open source platform which allows you to connect and control various smart devices within your home, or in this case, your layout room.
This is my instance within Home Assistant. So instance is basically your dashboard. So this is all my smart devices. So what you then do is you break it up into different rooms within your house, cinemas, lounge rooms, offices, bedrooms, laundry, hallway, and obviously the one I'm working on now is the layout room. So as I pointed out before, there's plenty of good videos around there actually how to set these up. This is just more of a very, very quick overview what Home Assistant is all about.
You might be asking, how do I access Home Assistant? It can be accessed via a web-based interface on either Android, iOS, PC, and Macs, or using your voice via virtual assistants such as Amazon Alexa. With Home Assistant, you can create custom automations that trigger with specific conditions, such as a motion sensor or a temperature or humidity sensor. So with this, what we're able to do, within Home Assistant, it allows us to create relatively easy alarm system. With this in mind, this is obviously a great platform that allows us to protect our model railroad assets from any damage or theft.
In a previous video, you may have remembered I showed you how I used a Wi-Fi power socket to turn on and off my various model railway hardware in hard to reach places. So with the basic principles we learnt from that video, we're going to bring these over into Home Assistant. So let's go. So what we're going to look here is just a very, very simple automation, me walking into a dark room with a sensor that'll turn the light on. These simple automations and setting up the motion sensors will form the basis of what we are going to do with the alarm later on. Another way to protect your model railroad assets is through temperature monitoring. Fluctuations in temperature can cause damage to your model railway, so it's essential to monitor the temperature in your model railway room. With Home Assistant, you can set up temperature sensors that trigger an alarm or notify you when a temperature falls outside a specific range. This can help you take quick action to prevent the warping of track. Furthermore to this, you can add automations to this that allow you to turn on your air conditioning or your heating. And furthermore, you could also set up automations that the temperature monitoring would trigger humidifier. Adding smart locks into your Home Assistant automation system, you can create a secure environment for your model railway layout room. With automations that unlock the door when you enter a particular room and lock the door when you leave, you can have peace of mind knowing that your models are protected from unauthorized access. Another way that I've found you can protect your model railway is through what they call a Zigbee, which is a basic form, is a different type of Wi-Fi, and they make moisture sensors. So within Home Assistant, you can integrate these moisture sensors to automate a system. So what you can actually do is you can set these up to prevent water damage in your layout room. So I've obviously had a dear friend of mine, he had in his basement had quite significant water damage due to a burst pipe or something similar. So what you have a little sensor that will then send off an alarm and a notification which will then detect moisture. So what it'll do, you'll trigger an alarm, and I've set mine up that it will send a notification to your phone and then obviously deal with it further. So you can go one step further with this. If you're on rainwater tanks like we are, we can actually set that up. If a water sensor is to go off or to trigger, that it would actually set off turn off the water pump, so at least you'll have some water egress still coming in. However, you will not have water coming in under pressure because the pump's running. Magnetic door sensors are another way to protect your model railway layout room. Within Home Assistant, what you can do, you can set up the door signals that trigger an alarm or a notification when the door is open or closed. This can help you also monitor the access to the room where your assets are stored and detect any unauthorized entries.
So before we jump into the ins and outs of Home Assistant, what we might do, we might quickly go and get a few little words from my sponsor, PCBWay.com. So over to the guys and girls there.
This video is proudly sponsored by PCBWay.com. If you're a tinkerer, inventor, or advanced electrical engineer, you need to check out PCBWay or you are seriously missing out. They are passionate about PCBs ranging from standard to advanced PCBs with 1 to 30 layers with full-featured printed circuit boards. PCBWay don't stop there. They offer basically everything you need to make your ideas a reality. Whether you need 3D prints, injection molding, or CNC machining, assembly, or basic PCB manufacturing, they can do it all for highly competitive prices. Check out their awesome services in the link below and their offer to my viewers who support this channel. Watch out for my upcoming videos where I'll be using some of their products. Alarmo is a custom component for your Home Assistant platform that adds a fully featured alarm system to your smart layout setup. It also allows you to set up multiple alarm modes, customize sensors and actions, and receive notifications in case of any issues or alarm activations. With Alarmo, you can have peace of mind knowing that your layout room or outbuildings are protected and secure. So let's have a very, very quick look around Alarmo. So this is in the back end of Alarmo in the general tab. So we've got a few different settings here that we can do different things with. So we can disarm after trigger. Not quite sure when you might use that. It's got an MQTT aspect we can add to it as well, to add MQTT alarm panels and the like. Haven't experimented with that. If you have played around with Alarmo, please let me know, or in particular MQTT, because that's something that does interest me. So the different modes we've got here. So the only one I'm using right now is armed away. So with armed away is as it sounds. We've only got the sensors being used whilst we're in an armed away mode, which I'll show you shortly. So from that we can set up different delays. So the exit delay at 10 seconds, I'll probably take that out to 30 or 40 seconds. So that's obviously when you set the alarm panel and it counts down, it gives you that amount of time to get out before the alarm goes off. And also on the flip side, you've got entry delay. So that's when you're entering the layout room or outbuilding or your house, however you've set this up, and it will delay, give you that amount of time to punch your code in and deactivate the alarm. So this next one, trigger time, I'm probably going to have a little bit of a play with that. So in short, what that is, I've just got it for infinite. So what that means is if your alarm has been triggered and someone's still moving around, it's still going to trigger those alarm sensors as being active. So that would be quite handy, particularly if you've got multiple alarm sensors. So if you've just got one sensor that's going off in the middle of the house and no other externals going off, you might be able to think it might be a false alarm. But if you've got multiple sensors going off, it'll be a bit easier to determine whether you need to get someone involved to come and check your alarm or check your layout room. So I haven't got this one set up, but this is armed home. So this would probably be very, very handy if you've got an outbuilding where your layout sits. So alarm home is, the rest of the house is deactivated, but you can then set up separate sensors. So you might have, half a dozen sensors in your layout room, which is connected to your main dwelling, but you only want those 6 sensors or whatever being in the away mode or in the armed mode to set off the alarm if you are actually home in the main building. The next tab we're going to look at is once you bring all your sensors into Home Assistant, they'll pop up here the ones that are actually correct. So they initially come to here. So you can see I've got other sensors here that are not all that going to be relevant for this. My alarm would like my laundry meter and the tamper alarm on my laundry door, which I might end up putting over there. So it's just a matter of when you bring them in. So let's have a look at this shed motion. So that's the one that's out in my layout room. So you can actually change it away from what type of sensor it is, because sometimes it might show up as a motion here, but it's actually a door sensor. So you can actually change that. But I'll leave that as motion. And then it's just a matter of enabling, and you can actually enable them depending on what group you want them in as well, as I did before, away or home and the like. This is a little more customization with codes. So you've got your main alarm panel. So so if you tick this first box, require code for arming the alarm. So the reason I wanted to do that is just because I've got it on a smartphone. I'll probably end up having a tablet. You don't want to just be able to accidentally push the arm button and it goes in its countdown and then it sets your alarm off. You actually want to be able to physically, I think, put a code in of some description, and goes without saying, you don't want to be able to disarm. So the next one is disarm with the code. You don't just want to be able to push disarm and it turns it off. So the code format is the next one. You can either have PIN code or a password if you want to set it up that way. So this next one is how many users. So you can have different alarm codes for each user. So the beauty of this is you can go back through the logs and find out who's using what code and who's coming and going, so to speak. So you just drill down on the user here, allowing the code for arming. Yes, makes sense. And also disarming. Also an override code. You can set an override code. So if someone's forcibly coming into your house, so to speak, you can, if you put this code in, it gives off another notification to other users on the system that the actions on the notifications are going to. I'll gleam over this very, very quickly. So this is where all the notifications come up. So I'll just go to this first one. So the first action is the alarm is armed, and it's going to go to my mobile phone, and it's going to come up with a message. Basically what the message is going to say is alarm is armed. And that just gives you a little ready reckoner that you know you've actually armed it properly after it's gone through its countdown of 30 seconds or whatever you set the exit delay on. So the next one, I won't go through all of these, is obviously the alarm triggered. So the way this works out, it's in away mode. You can set other modes if that's what you do. Also going to my phone at this point of very, very early on in the infancy of all this. Alright, so the way this is going to come up, the message on this one, as I'll show you shortly, is going to have saying the alarm is triggered, and it's going to come up with the cause or what sensor is actually triggering it. So if it's the shed one like I had, or another sensor as we talked about before, it'll show you that as well. So that's probably all the notifications at this point in time. The other ones I will probably set up will be, I've yet to do that, but I'll set up some sirens. This one here, the action of the lights will start going on, so you can actually set up other automations within Home Assistant to get, you turn your lights to red and they'll just start flashing, and you can set your alarm off. So that's all done in the Actions tab. As I said, I've yet to do that. So let's quickly go over to what it looks like when things are going off, and how it looks when it's being armed and disarmed. So what we've got here, we've got the Alarmo panel as it is within Home Assistant. So as you can see, it's very basic sort of the way it's set up, but I think the nice clean lines is really good. So what I'll do, I'll just chuck the code in. Now this can be done on a tablet via your interactive screen, so to speak. So I've just put the code in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Obviously that's not going to be the real code, and we go arm away. So what you can see, it's arming itself. So this is emulating gives you 10 seconds for the sake of this video to arm itself, and now we're actually got the alarm that's actually armed proper. So after you've put your code in and you'll push the button for arming the alarm, and it's done the countdown of the exit delay, it will actually send you a message. So what that's actually good for is if you're on the go and you're out and about and you trigger the alarm, and if you've got your exit delay a few minutes, it'll actually tell you if the alarm has armed itself correctly. So that's also set up in the notifications. So once one of the sensors goes off, that will set the alarm off, and we will get our sirens and whatever else we've set it up in the actions. Alright, so what's happened here is one of the sensors has set off. So now we've got a 10-second disarm. So that'll emulate you coming back inside to your house. Now you can sort of see that I've set off the office alarm here. So you can see that there, that's the office sensor that I've set off. And that is showing that's why it's triggered the alarm. So how do we disarm the alarm? So it's just obviously in reverse. So your code, and then disarm, and it'll clear it. So what you can also do is set up different notifications. So you can sort of see the alarm event here. So this is how you do it or monitor your alarm remotely. So it's telling me the alarm is triggered, and also advising me the alarm is triggered, but also telling me the cause. So the cause is the office motion sensor.
Protecting your Motorola assets is essential to ensure that your investment is kept safe and secure. By using Home Assistant automation, you can set up a reliable alarm system that monitors your asset and alerts you to any potential threats. Whether it's through motion detection, temperature monitoring, smoke and heat monitoring, all that can be fed back to what I'm going to call remote monitoring via your mobile phone, if that's the way you set it up, sending you alerts. Home Assistant will provide you with the tools that you need to protect your Motorola with relative ease. If set up correctly, Home Assistant will provide you the tools that you need to set up this alarm system, which to protect your Motorola assets with relative ease. Question number 1, would you use a system similar to this using Home Assistant? Number 2, what sort of tweaks would you give the system to achieve your results? And like always, number 3, how could I make my system better?